I don't know how to do prep stuff yet for channels, so give me a hot second here while I hit signals, and I will be happy to figure out how life is supposed to work. And I swear I won't be as clumsy in the future as I figure these things out. I'm just boosting the signal, you know, as we do. So give me just like a hot minute here to boost, 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 boost. And now we'll go ahead and get on into the mess. Blip, and that's good. And should be good there. That feels right. All right, so I'm learning. I'm learning. Hit like and subscribe to encourage me to learn better. But we're continuing the art on the Tap Untap Burn Elemental Key artwork, the production art for the interior. I'm working on page 6 right now. This is our fourth stream. So right now we're looking at the pairing of the Avatar of Flame and the Avatar of Ice. So give me a second here to open this up. We got the references here. Got about, what is it, 6:30 here in Seattle, so I got about an hour and a half I can put into this before I got to bounce for the day, which is fantastic. So we're going to look at, do I want to, I like the space that she's filling, so I'm going to leave her be, but I think I want to make him fill the page a little bit more. Top, let's see. There's that. And frost. Good. Now frost. And let's see how we doing this. We're gonna do there. Let's see if I just increase his size just a touch. How does that feel? Yeah, that feels pretty good. All right, cool. We're gonna start from there. Let's see. I bet I can scooch this whole. Let's get that all. Yeah, that feels pretty good. And let's see about. All right, heebie-jeebies. Beep, 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 beep. That feels pretty good. Cool. So let's see. We'll leave the cone B for now. Yeah. Let's just get into this guy. So obviously borrowing from Avatar. Why wouldn't I? See how far along we can get today with this. I'm gonna do some cleanup here, and then we're going to get into detail. throat is a little resiny from the wood fireplace. The new one we have is it's got a fireplace. So I haven't had a fireplace, a wood burning fireplace in my home since growing up in my parents' house in Missouri. And I just absolutely love tending fires. Fire pits, obviously fireplaces. No arson though. Absolutely just love keeping them alive. I'm liking this new smudge brush that I built. It's just a flat oval, but it's got the spin going to it, and I've gotten it to smooth out a little bit. I'm thinking about making a wedge, like a little triangle, like a curved triangle, so I can tilt it and adjust the area that I'm smudging as I go. Maybe I'll do that on the next piece. I've got this piece, and I've got the mana playmat that I need to build, and I'll build that here on stream as well, and I'll have an opportunity to talk about tapping mechanics as I go when I do it. And then I got a commission, character portrait commissions I'll be doing. I think I'll be starting that this weekend. I got a lot on my plate as far as new projects that are coming up. I'm going to start once I get all these mana mechanic books completed. Then I'll be able to start really building content about how to use the different mana mechanics to build couture design characters. Like if you want to build a silver quill. Like let's say you want to build a silver quill arcane trickster, then there'll be a solid set of both spell and martial mechanics to make that silver quill really unique and really themed in white and black mana, similar to the cards. I'm also really looking forward to converting spells, artifacts, and different characters from Magic the Gathering using these mechanics either into individual characters, but more ideally into unique archetypes and subclasses. And I should have enough tools published on DMsGuild to be able to refer to them as we build them, that you'll be able to view and download for yourself to implement for your own campaigns. If you just want to have a unique option for your campaign, or if your players are really looking to lean into whichever guild, college, or piety in Theros, if there's unique approaches that they want to take, we should have the tools built for them to be able to do that. And then once I have all that taken care of, I'll be able to dive off of the DMsGuild into Alara and Ikoria, Innistrad, and take basically any. That arm's too thick now. I'll be able to go with any of those approaches and be able to use the same mechanics to be able to build out. And if Wizards ever decides to explore any of those campaign spaces with it, we'll just be able to fold whatever baby steps they take in moving forward with the Magic system, and really be able to deep dive it on our own. So I'm looking forward to that, and I hope that you decide to stick around, subscribe, etc., and come along for the ride. Hey man, how you doing? Yard Tech. Yeah, right on, man. You're a MTG fan? Tell you what, I don't think I've seen you on stream here before, so I will show you what we're looking at for the we built out. Hold on. I gotta. Dressing page. Where am I at here? Right. So yeah, the elemental key. Basically, what we're looking at is we're buffing it up so that it has a full spell list like paladins and rangers do for obviously this is D&D 5e, but using mana mechanics. So you've got your devotions from that you would expect for Way of the Four Elements, so the monk, and then here's all the spells or like. You got the spells from PH, Xanathars, and if it says monk, then that means that it is actually described in Way of the Four Elements. So you got a selection of cantrips that you can choose from, so you don't have to actually spend any key to be an elementalist. But we've got 4 elements if you want to use an elemental paradigm or a color magic paradigm. Elements are air, earth, fire, and water, or color key using blue, red, and green. Each element is devoted to one or more elements, or if you're using color. And so, like, thing of the first, the fire snake is from the player's handbook. It's a monk ability that developed. Obviously, it's fire using the elemental paradigm, and it'd be red using the MTG 5-color mana system. So when you gain key during any rest, you choose how much of each element that you want to have, and simply you burn. you just burn a point to access that color, and then like if it's we'll go back to that real quick. Like if it's let's go down here to something more interesting. 5th level, it's a half caster progression. So like a ranger and a paladin at level 17, you get access to 5th level spells. Using the Tap Untap Burn paradigm in the description below, it's 1 spell point or 1 mana per level of spell. Super easy, very straightforward. It's like Wizards intentionally didn't do it. So like if you want to go Cone of Cold, in this paradigm, both air and water is cold. And using the 5-color mana system, blue logically, but also green for ice and cold stuff. You choose, like, it's 5 mana, and either if you use either blue or green, and then like 4 fire or 4 red, as long as you have some blue in there or some green in there, then as long as you pay the 5, you're covered. You can cast it because you have at least some of the element there. But then you have that float space so that you don't have to be so restrictive that if I want to cast a 5th level fire spell, I don't have to have 5 red mana. It's too oppressive. All the playtime. I mean, I've been using the system for 3 years now, and having that level of devotion, like requiring that, it's too oppressive. You can't build an effective mana pool if you're requiring point for point expenditure by level. So you just got to make sure you have at least some in there, and the system works great. It also allows you to flex, like have. So you can be multicolored if you want. You want to have some blue and you want to have some fire and some red in there, so you can play a Gruul elementalist that has access to basically all the elements using the color mana system. Then you can be an effective Gruul shaman and have the full list. But instead of being a druid, you're a monk. But of course, the Tap Untap Burn color mechanic books that are posted in the description, it has all the stuff about druid or cleric or Arcane Trickster or Eldritch Knight, etc., etc. If you want to be a different class and still represent as a Gruul Druid or a Gruul craft shaman, you can the rules are all there for you to implement. Now it's just a matter of adding in the character flavor. So that's once this elemental book is done, then the next mana mechanics book we're going to put out is going to be a martial mana book, so that you can have instant and sustained effects for non-casting classes, like non-arcane tricksters, non-eldritch knights for fighter, as well as for barbarian, and then have a couple different variants for different classes, so that you're going to have a robust kit of like 130, 140 abilities that use mana that are not spells. So that project's not going to drop until next year, but it's going to be fun when it does. So stick around to find out what's going on. I'm going to ramble a little bit and just do some painting. just to get the job done and keep moving on. So thanks for sticking in. Sticking around, or being in, as it were. Man, there is such amazing flavor in Magic the Gathering. It's 20 years of just wicked cool stuff, and it takes a lot of mechanical detail to be able to translate all the depth of lore, instead of just being, I mean, you can just be a cleric and then just say that you're, you know, a priestess of Thassa, but it's more to actually develop mechanics to be able to deep dive into, yeah, I'm super blue, and my PD is going to reflect that with the mana pool that I carry and the spell selections that I have. And so we're building the tools to actually be able to represent that. I mean, Wizards might do it eventually. I mean, but so far the representations that they have is not diving into color mechanics. I don't know if there's some crack team in their halls over in Renton that are trying to develop this system that I've built, but it'd be great if they would. But I don't want to wait. I mean, the inspiration's there to move forward. So, and the ability to do so is here. So this is kind of where I planted my flag and what I'm doing. So I got some Eberron stuff that's going to be coming out. I'm working on an adventure right now for Eberron. I'm working on a mass combat system as well. Those are going to be super exciting. There's a lot of stuff. It's probably not all going to be done until 2023. But once it is, I am going to have a really broad set of tools for people to be able to play with, both on DMsGuild or off. And I'm so looking forward to getting it all done. So there's just so much we can do with summoning mechanics off of card decks, off of building true dragon riders when they finally get around to releasing Kryn. It's just super flexible systems that's going to really let us dive into any IP or genre and give it mechanical crunch to really back up. I don't think I like where that's going. To really back up, to make the mechanics back up the flavor. Because flavor is fun, and you can say whatever you want that when you cast Fireball that it's got little radiant twinkle of light that goes along with it, but then there's actually casting Fireball with blending white magic in for radiant damage and stuff. So I think 5e is by far the most malleable system for Dungeons and Dragons created yet, and I think it's amazing what Wizards has done to produce it, and it just opens the door for couture creators to really just dive in and build really unique builds, really unique design sets, and it's just super fun to be involved in that space. As far as a hobby goes, this is just insane. I'm going to do that. Just loving where the game is going. I am really excited to see what their 5.5 implements or how far it goes. I want to flesh that out. Pull another layer here real quick just to check this lag. here, and then here. Okay, that's good. Ah, that's what I should do. Here, and then go into here. That's what was missing. Hey man, how you doing? SOP, man. I have not talked about Soldiers of Peace in years. Holy Hannah. Man, what an experience. Facebook games in the day, that was so much fun. I don't recognize your tag, soldier. Who were you? I'm gonna switch songs. I'm not into this one. Man, I'm loving this epidemic sound. I cannot get enough of it. Remove that from the list. Let's go to nice. That's the kind of groove that I like. Man, Facebook Mafia Wars taught me more about team leadership than I think like 1,000 books could have. The experiences of leading a clan of 5,000 players is just, what an amazing experience. So much fun. Really good-hearted people. Such a fun experience. It was Mafia Wars on Facebook is, I mean, all those social media games where you're collecting people and then spending energy to engage with each other, either like race car games that you're quote unquote racing each other, or by spending points to expend your fuel, or with Mafia Wars you're throwing bullets at each other to take each other out. But man, it was so much fun having 300-400 people at a time just pooling together and just helping build resources for each other, and spend an afternoon of just pumping thousands and thousands of bullets into enemy crime syndicates. That was just too much fun. Thanks, man. Hey, right on. Sweet. Thanks for the connect. So much fun. There was so much fun with Soldiers of Peace. It was it was such a fun place. So many fun people. I love just being underdogs against these credit card killers that would it would take like 10, 15 of us to dogpile to bring them down. And of course everyone's just getting more levels because of it. It was so funny that the credit card soldiers would, like in these enemy teams where they would spend thousands of dollars to build it up. It was some sort of an ego trip for them to not be able to be tackled by, like, you know, to be able to survive dozens of slings and arrows from small accounts. But it was so much fun pulling together to tear one of those monsters down. It's like in Pacific Rim, bringing down one of those giant monsters as a tribe of spear chucking savages, just attacking it in swarms. It was just, the camaraderie was amazing. I just don't understand how those ego fed credit card killers would just not get it. It was so much fun. And it's like we're all gaining experience, whether you're attacking or receiving, and it was just the coordination of picking a target and having everyone just throw their weight into it. I've never experienced a game like that. So, I mean, it's just, oh God, so much fun. It was such a fun game. such a ridiculous premise, but God, it was so much fun. And then figuring out how to optimize the new cities that they would open up to offer more levels and new loot, and sharing that. Just coordinating the logistics of coordinating all that stuff was just, what an experience. So much fun. And then the mentoring we had going on with new people that would build accounts to be able to feed them supplies. It was crazy. Yeah, it was just we really gamed that system. We just, I mean, you know, Zynga kept retooling the mechanics to make it more and more difficult to succeed, but we kept finding ways to succeed for like 3 or 4 years. We were able to outsmart their design team and keep plugging in and being able to progress without having to give them money. That was the best part of it. Not having to give them money in the process. It was so much fun. I loved it. What a fun experience. And I'm so glad you swung by, Mercy. It's so awesome. Oh, God, so cool. Don't feel obligated to stick around. It was just cool being able to connect. That was a wonderful time in my life. What I really, and it's really interesting because the leadership in Mafia Wars, when our clan got, God, I want to say it got up to around 5,000. It's really interesting how the personal dynamics and the perspectives of such a large group was so challenging to corral. And I'm involved in a lot of Discord channels that do tabletop game design, like Indestructible and Fry Minis, classes and constructs, etc. And their communities are growing. And like DMsGuild, I think, is around 3,000 participants now, and I'm seeing the same sort of fracturing of opinions and groups happening in that mass. It's like once it's like around once it's around 500 people, it becomes difficult. But like once it gets around 2,000, from an administration perspective, it becomes very challenging to be able to keep things on track because everyone's at a different psychological and emotional position where it's everyone has their challenges, and everyone can get triggered off of things that people say, and the slings and arrows of real life weighing you down, and then going into a game when you're already triggered from life. It's really hard to keep separated your own personal experience from what you're seeing in this community of other people that supposedly are having the same type of fun that you are. So just being able to keep your heart open and the empathy to see these different personalities and these different political views and different socioeconomic positions, all trying to engage in the same space. And a lot of people are very opinionated about what they think is important, and feeling trusted to be able to share those opinions, and then to sometimes have them come back and bite them that their opinion is an outlier, and that that people don't appreciate where they're coming from, and to keep that stuff from going off the rails. It's a really unique challenge, because these are open groups of people that are voluntarily participating in this environment with you. It's a really interesting personality and emotional dynamic to be able to navigate that space and help people recognize that we're all here together as a community because of what the common interest is, and that where we diverge from each other doesn't have to be a reason to leave a community, but an opportunity just to reach out and try to understand people better, which I think is really what the internet was for. But it's so heavily monetized, it's hard to do that. That was a good time, man. That was yeah. that was I'm glad that served you. And yeah, I had to step. I mean, life took over. You know, we all have our time in the sun, and my time was running that operation. That was killer. I don't remember REW. I mean, there was so many fraction groups, and there was so many independent cycles that it's just impossible to keep track of everything. But super fun. God, Mafia Wars, how awesome! Ironically, my gal has just started playing Farmville. Because she loves resource management, but she doesn't like social. So she plays Farmville all on her own, all by herself, and doesn't ask anyone for resources or assistance, because she just does it all on her own. And it's like, oh my god, you're playing Farmville? She's like, yeah. I'm like, dude, I used to use Farmville to get extra energy when I was running Mafia Wars. She's like, oh, no kidding, that was that. I'm like, yeah. She's like, yeah, full circle. And now you show up, and I literally had that conversation with her 2 days ago. That's so funny how life works. It's almost like reality wanted to let me know that you were heading this way. That's so exciting. Man, what a great morning. This has just been a blessing. Thank you. Just thanks for stopping in and saying hi. It's amazing. God, what an experience. I've had the same job since my time running soldiers, but if I ever needed to go to a job, I would 100% put on my resume that I ran that organization for like 3 years or whatever it was. Like the ability to maintain a volunteer organization like that for as long as it lasted. That's the kind of experience and people skills that MBAs literally will spend tens of thousands of dollars to acquire, and we had the opportunity to gain it for nothing, for a hobby. It's just ridiculous. What time is it? It's 7:04 here in Seattle. We're just getting started. I've got an hour before I need to give my pound of flesh to the man for the day, which I am happy to do. I love my job. I love what I do. I manage resources. I do logistics. I do marketing logistics here in Seattle. I used to be in sales during the Mafia War days, so I was doing a lot of personality navigating with clients and expectations and stuff. But I've since evolved into marketing logistics. It's honest work. I don't mind doing it until, I have the opportunity to not have to. I'm pretty pleased with how this is coming along. Yeah, no kidding. Oh yeah, just to keep everyone's gun pointing in the same direction to bring down a Titan. You gotta be coordinated, man. You know that as well as I do. Coffee time. Right on. I do this every morning. Well, not every morning. I do D&D book production as my side hustle now. Instead of playing Mafia Wars, I make books and then I illustrate them, and then I have to market them because Wizards built a website for us to make the stuff, but they only kind of support it. So it's left up to us to do our own hustle to bring attention to stuff. So just started getting into YouTube for doing stream, and I'm finding that if I wake up and I put in an hour or so of artwork in the day, I don't pine away hoping for my day to end quicker so I can start artwork and I'm already exhausted from the day. Instead, now the sequencing is I get to start my day with what I love to do, and then the amount of the accumulation of appreciating the opportunity to be this feeds into me being proud of the work that I do for my 9-to-5 job, and then I have more pride in the work that I do, and at the end of the day, I have more energy for me to continue on with this and other projects. I've got like 4 projects that I'm working on right now, so it's ridiculously heavy. But that little change is really helping me be able to get all the work done and not feel regret, and so I can focus on what I'm doing when I'm doing it. And that, I think, if anything, that's probably the greatest takeaway from just this change in process. Yeah, thank you. I am honestly art, any kind of like sculpting, painting, writing, poetry, music. Art is one of those things that you will always pray to have another 20 years to get further. Like my running joke is I've got about 10,000 years worth of projects that I hope to achieve, and only about 40 years left to do it. So instead of feeling disheartened about it, it's just to really appreciate what projects I actually end up actually working on. And it's never the projects that I think I'm going to work on. It just ends up picking me. It's like, this is what you're going to do now. I'm like, oh, really? Okay. This is what I'm doing now. Like, I know I'm going to get to a point where I stop building books and I start developing a Patreon and just talking about how different game mechanics can lean into. And, Magic the Gathering is my go-to for flavor as far as like IPs, like game spaces and stuff. Magic the Gathering is super cool. And I've been playing D&D since I was 12, so I love building games. I love building alternate mechanics for that sort of stuff, and so those things get to work together in the same space now that Wizards owns both of those IPs. It's really cool. Yeah, no kidding. Cannot stress. That's the irony behind being art, that you're always pushing yourself to get better. I don't know. My mom is a poet and a writer, and she's I'm 46 now, and she's in her 70s, and it's exciting to be able to connect with my mom on that level as an artist, because she is as passionate about what she's creating as I am about what I'm creating, and it's just so fun to be able to connect with her in particular, because she's my mom. But with anybody that you run across that is even like, I don't know nothing about sculpting or pottery, but if I met somebody who is, then I can just ask them about techniques and stuff, because I can connect with them on that passion level about, what is it that's compelling them to keep doing it? What do they love about it? What's their frustrations at? Because all those frustrations are the same. Guitarists, pianists, origami, it's art, and it all has the same frustrations and the same hopes and the same passions of just getting better at your craft, and that's something that gives. I think if I were to say anything for people that retire, and are like, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. You hear about people that die within 6 months after retiring. It's because they have nothing to live for. And honestly, just getting into a creative space is something to keep you alive. I'm finding I want to exercise more so that I can feel more comfortable sitting for the hours that are required to be in the chair to get the work done. It's I have to be healthy to be able to be sedentary. Anyway, I'm rambling. I'm just filling the airspace with noise so that I don't bore people. Cut off your thumb. There you go. No thumbs for you. Put it there. This doesn't have to be super detailed because it's going to be behind this this cold attack effect. But I should at least put in the work to make sure I do it right. There's no reason to be lazy. Yeah. That's true. That is really true. I'm actually really curious about what's going to happen when we die. I'm honestly I want to try to live as here as I can to appreciate the opportunity to be here, and I will be wonderfully surprised, or I think not surprised, thankful if there's more after. Like Rick and Morty, if we wake up from Roy and realize it was just a game and we can put another coin in and do it again, and I would throw in that coin immediately. It's like, hard subscribe, gimme, will do forever. I would love it. This life, another life, I don't care. I just want to have the opportunity to be with people and to engage and just appreciate and be thankful. I'm gonna give you that. Yeah, no kidding. Absolutely work in progress. If this if this really is just a game that we're playing, and we take off the helmet when we die, you get to check your high score. Maybe you're a speedrunner. maybe you're focusing on a specific objective, like you're trying to earn a medal in like empathy. And you get to look at the end of it and it's like, how did I rack up? How did my score go? I think that would be so fun. Or like, what if life is a training ground? Where you have to be able to interact at a certain level of human to be able to get access to higher divine powers. Like, you can't be a god until you can be humble, so that you can give life that has meaning to people, or to be a muse. Like in the Greek pantheons, the muses that would inspire artists. What if you have to be an artist, and you have to understand the suffering that people go through to be able to express what they need? You have to actually go through that yourself millions of times, so that when you ascend, you know how to squeeze their heart just the right way. That would be amazing. I am really appreciating this day. I really appreciate you guys showing up. What time is it here in Seattle? It is 7:20. Plenty of time. All right, let's work on this outline. Make sure that it's okay before I really dive into the details. Oh yeah, I gotta totally work on this arm. I don't have time for details over here. Get away from me. I better save. Oh my god, it's been forever since I saved. Thank you. Time for some water so I can drink more coffee. All right, Kearney, stay on task. Form and then details. Form, then details. I keep wanting to dive into the details because stuff keeps jumping out at me, and it's like, just let it percolate. It'll get there. Seems a little long. I'm gonna take this, cut, paste, and make it a little smaller. Then put it behind. So I got the foreshortening working for it. There. No, I have, no, that's a lie. Back in the, I'd say maybe like in 2002, I started doing some Flash animation. Remember Flash? remember when Flash was a thing? Holy Hannah. I was building, it was more like website sequence animations for like making dynamic websites. I got into that for a little bit. I recognize like things like this would be a keyframe, and then I would have like little transition stuff, but I haven't gotten serious into it. It's something I aspire to. I have a long-standing dream of taking short songs that I love, like Immigrant Song, for example, and then animating like a fantasy scene that's, you know, like 2.5, 3 minutes long, super short, punchy songs that have a ton of energy, and then having like really dynamic action scenes. Like, I don't know if you know Aeon Flux from MTV way back in the day, the in the 90s, the animations. They're like these little 3-minute shorts that didn't have any it didn't have any spoken words. It was just movement and camera angles, and it was telling a story just strictly through visuals. And it was all super spy or like war, but no one was speaking. It was just action, and it was amazing. And that really opened my mind about, you know, what can you do with animation. It was stuff like Peter Chung, who used to do in between work for the in between shots for Rugrats. And so he got really tired of how immobile and unexpressive the Rugrats bodies were, because they're all toddlers. So he built these like really elongated bodies with spidery limbs that would do these really contorted acrobatic movements, you know, while shooting a gun or trying to slip through a trap, or, you know, like Indiana Jones type stuff with ultra violence on top of it. Amazing animations. You can find Aeon Flux, Aeon Flux, still out in the wild on YouTube and different channels. But there's like maybe 8 or 9 like 3-minute animations. They were all amazing. They told these amazing stories. Oh, man, hey Matthew, man, I am loving YouTube. It's so much easier. I've got a ton of stuff on my hard drive from stuff that I had built on like art that I had done on Twitch, and guilty admission here, it takes, I hate editing the stuff and importing, just the process of importing it and doing the card setups from my hard drive onto YouTube is a major pain in the ass, because I have all these books I'm trying to do. So I still have them all sitting there. Like stuff from my core mechanics book from like 2019, I still have it sitting on my drive waiting for me to import into YouTube. So for nothing else, YouTube is amazing that it just does that stuff for you. So that alone is worth it. And I had seen when all the Twitch revenues got leaked. One of the major MTG stream channels, Covert Go Blue. He's one of the highest arena rankers on the MTG digital side. His revenue got leaked as well. So he's like, well, okay, since it's out there, let's talk about it. And the difference between the amount of revenue that he generates on YouTube versus the amount of revenue that he generates on Twitch, even though he would stream on Twitch and then upload to YouTube like I did, he was making 10 times the amount on YouTube that he was making on Twitch. And he's like, yeah, I'm just going to switch over to YouTube because just the revenue difference is ridiculous and it's so much easier. And it's like, oh, that's all I needed to hear. So that's why I made the switch over myself. But I'm loving it. I am loving it. There's a number of like Indestructiboy and Dungeoneers Pack and classes and constructs and Fry Minis that all they do is YouTube, and they've got an awesome community, great designers and great content producers. They're all only on YouTube. They're all stepping away from Twitch as well, and I get it. YouTube is, even if you don't want to pay homage to the algorithms, and I don't, so I'll build out a Patreon eventually, just to ask people to toss me a coin to encourage me to keep doing it. But that's all it really takes to be able to build, and I think it's totally worth it. So I'm loving it. I'm loving the transition. I'm still figuring out how to, be professional, which I'm absolutely not. But yeah, it's great. God, I'm so glad you made it over here. Thank you. You're always such an inspiration to me whenever you show up and say, hey. If you don't know Dungeoneers Pack, keep an eye on my Twitter, because I'm going to be doing a live stream with him and Fry Minis on Sunday to talk about Strixhaven. I don't know if we're going to be talking about color that much or not, but I think the new Strixhaven book did the best job yet about the flavor that's inferred by color, because all the Strixhaven colleges are built on conflict, like Witherbloom's green black, or Lorehold's white red. They're all enemy colors, because like you got the two enemy, you got your color, and you got your two ally colors that are on either side of you, and then you got your two enemy colors that are across from you. And they do a really good job about integrating all the enemy colors specifically. They don't do any, like Strixhaven doesn't have any ally colors. Like you'd have to get into Alara, I think Mirrodin has allied colors. I think Kamigawa has allied colors. So those are IPs they haven't played with yet. But Strixhaven does a really great job about introducing flavor into the enemy color narrative. So I like that it points that out in the lore section at the front of the book, and I don't know if we're going to talk about that or not, but I've got that queued up as part of my conversation. It's going to be maybe an hour-long conversation talking about player options and stuff like that, and that is absolutely at the forefront of my mind about like how to think about it. Thank you. Yes, Tarkir. Oh my God, Tarkir. Only hinted at in the Fizzban's Treasury. But once I finish up all these different mana mechanic books, I got another 80, 90 page book I need to build out. Hopefully it'll be done by 2020. I can't realistically think it's going to be done in 2022 at all, but certainly by 2023. The Martial mana mechanics book that I'm building is going to provide full mana mechanics for all 13 classes. I'm going to do this. I'm going to grab this. And once I have all those mechanics in place, I can then go off the reservation and start building independent content on Patreon. And I can do a deep dive in Tarkir, or I can do a deep dive in Innistrad, or Ikoria. It could be. I have no idea what Wizards' plans are to do with their actual IP to build into an RPG. I have to assume, like with the Power Rangers book and the Nerds book that they built, that they are someone somewhere is building MTG IP to make all these things like an independent game from D&D. I think they're using these books in D&D to get an understanding about how to integrate the flavor into campaigns, but I don't know if anyone's actually building mechanics or not, and I don't assume I'll ever be part of that process. So I gotta do it on my own, obviously. But even if they do decide to pull the trigger on that, I'll hopefully have enough mechanical language built that'll be able to transition. Like I'm working on exile and discard mechanics, card draw mechanics that translates into different like types of advantage, or like the Martial mechanics book that I'm building introduces the concept of temporary mana as opposed to like temporary hit points. That's really cool. So like if you do different things, you can gain temporary mana so that you can boost effects or like have like quote unquote card advantage while you're like, you know, if you're a fighter and you're laying in 3 attacks this round as an attack action, one of the mechanics there is like every time you crit, you gain temporary mana that you can then use to spend on an instant effect like trample or vigilance, and just different card mechanics translated into D&D mechanics that integrate with each other, so that you can express. So like I can take a Boros Swiftblade card that has I think it has vigilance, haste, and double strike. And it's like I think it's like a 2/2 creature. And I already have a subclass built for that basically leans into all those mechanical ideas. So I can do things like that. And just basically like I could take any card from Tarkir, take the minion mechanics that I'm building with Ukulele Bard. We're building a mass combat and an ally management system supplement for DMsGuild, which would then be able to transition into Dragon Riders for Dragonlance when it comes out, or Dragon Allies in Tarkir, or like Titans in Ikoria. We can build all those things. Yeah, no kidding. I'm not legally supposed to talk about the different surveys, the marketing surveys. There's a company. You may have access to this in your inbox as well, but maybe every month or so I get a ping from this marketing company that says, "Hey, do a Wizard of the Coast survey about MTG," and then it'll show you a stack of card art that's obviously a Hasbro IP. And it's like, here's different dressing that we're looking at doing for card design. Here's different flavor of characters that we're looking to develop if this were to be a card deck. What do you guys think about that? And I'm super harsh. Like, my criticism is always super nasty, because like they'll do things like do really cheap art compared to what they've done with MTG, or the flavor they have for, or like a new Planeswalker they're looking to explore, which is super basic, bland, Hollywood, like least common denominator ideas, and it's like harsh criticism. Yeah, I don't know who Furby is. Drop me a link. Like, throw me a link in Twitter so I can find out who Herbie is. But yeah, so we're not supposed to talk about it, so I don't. But I see all the IP stuff that Wizards is bending into with MTG, and honestly, I think it's great. If people don't like non-magic, non-fantasy in their MTG and they want to ignore these card sets, then you don't buy them. But enough people will. If they do, then Wizards gonna be like, yeah, this is profitable. Let's just keep doing that. And that's just going to get them to lean further and further into more crossover stuff. And like I'm in the process of, ooh, shoot, that just got locked. I better hit save real quick to make sure that I may have to restart Photoshop, because it just locked up on me. So I'm gonna have to kill that and then relaunch it. You know, the Power Rangers and nerds and stuff, they're obviously exploring the 5e space to build more stuff, to build more RPGs. And I think it's interesting that they're getting in that space, because TSR really got burned by overextending themselves, but they also didn't have huge resources like Hasbro has. Like, they just did a D&D, didn't they just do a D&D Monopoly game? It's like I don't know how many people are actually going to buy that. But it's just blending IPs. It's using one game space and another flavor from a different game to cross over, and just to create little dynamics. So if MTG ends up getting its own RPG, it's going to be compatible with 5e, which honestly means that like all the stuff that I'm building is probably still going to be relevant at a level. I might have to tweak it, but I'm moving into Eberron now. Old Goat Andy and we've been building an 8th level adventure that I've been like if you go into DM's Discord, like I've got a playtest request. I'm playtesting that in January, and but that's part of a whole toolkit to be able to just build Eberron adventures. Like, you want to build Eberron adventures? Here's a 90-page toolkit about it. Like, that's one of the like huge projects that I'm working on right now. And then like this mass combat book that I'm working on, I can convert all the, like, almost every, like, it's like so many of the official WotC adventures has a dragon attacking a city, and you're just supposed to like twiddle your thumbs about it. But I mean, what else are you gonna do? It's a dragon attacking a city. Well, the book that we're building, Ukulele Bard and I, that we're building right now would be, well, grab 200 guards, and here's mechanics to actually go attack that dragon using 5e mechanics. Not like there's been a number of books that have been released by different publications that have attempted to do mass combat, and they're not really 5e. They're like this weird transition space, but we're really building something that uses 5e mechanics at a massive scale, and it works. It just works. But it's going to take a while for us to finish the language, and of course all the artwork. I'll stream all of that here, and I'll be able to do a deep dive into the mechanics and the flavor on that. But like, MTG is becoming just one of the things that I'm building, and the more stuff I build, the more I can bend into. I mean, I'm talking about my own business here. Oh, cool, man. Thanks. But yeah, the more you bend into the different IPs, the more bulletproof we get from a business perspective about building RPG stuff, and mechanics can't be copywritten. So like instead of tapping, I can focus key, or I can focus like mana. You can't copyright the term mana, but I don't have to use 5 color. I could transition to like heart and brawn or something like that, depending on what the IP is. So I think the DMs Guild is awesome for being able to build an audience, because there's hundreds of thousands of 5e consumers that do go to DMs Guild, and like the Mission Boo NPC faux book and the mismanaged Witchlight supplement that they put on DMs Guild is saying that they're recognizing the passive power of them leaning into that platform for the IPs they're developing, and they're just trying to figure out how to use it. So we should all be using it, not so much for like little I made an Earthquake Barbarian on Indestructible Boys channel with a couple of the guys. Like maybe in 2 hours we spat out a super cool Earthquake themed Barbarian, and yeah, I could spend 20 hours. Or maybe even if I was really good at this, maybe like 5 or 6 hours building that. There's something going on when I'm trying to zoom and scroll, and it's causing my Photoshop to crash. So I need to figure out what that is, because this rebooting is just for the birds. But it's a thing that's happening. I don't know if it's a glitch involving my graphics board. Maybe I just need to be a little bit more cautious about it. But it's crashed twice now on the zoom. And of course, when you're colorblind, you have to grab color samples off of images to be able to make sure you're doing the right colors, which is what I am in the process of doing. But yeah, so back on track. The idea about IPs, using the 5e, the DMs Guild platform to build your ideas, but like not building subclasses, but instead building systems, like the Eberron Adventure Toolkit, or 5 color mana, or elemental key, elemental spell points. These are systems that get built that you can then export. Like I can do a whole book on Tarkir through Patreon, and it's like there's Tarkir fans out there that play D&D. It's like, yeah, I'll give you $5 for a whole nest of stuff on Tarkir and talk to you about it on a Discord channel. Like that is building your own identity. But I can market the basic mechanics through DMs Guild. It's like, hey, here's stuff that's going on. You can constantly point back, because I make all my stuff 100% preview, right? So that means that if anyone wants to understand what I'm talking about on my channel here, you can literally just go to DMsGuild and look at the free preview, all 75 pages of my mana mechanics. It's like, oh, that's what you mean. What were we talking about? Oh, you were talking about Ikoria. Once all these different books get built and all these different systems get built, you can build and blend them together. I'm starting with Eberron as an adventure toolkit, but I can, once it's built, I can transfer all those ideas to Ravnica. So I can, within the course of a conversation, translate that toolkit into a Ravnica toolkit, or when Dragonlance comes out, a Dragonlance toolkit or a Planescape toolkit, and I can either be on or off the DMsGuild platform, and I can still be accruing audience that cares about particular concepts on Patreon. So that's the thought. The new stuff that sells. But wish it had some more meat on it. Yeah, exactly. Well, they have page constraints. And Mr. Sun, I know that a lot of this, I don't know if you're a gamer or not, but Matthew and I, we both build games for D&D supplements on DMsGuild.com. So we're always talking about game mechanics and Wizard of the Coast stuff. So you have to bear with us being industry, sharpening our knives together here on stream. But yeah, they have a page count, and so they only have so much budget that they're allowed to put into the book. So they'll go through the ideation process of what's all the cool stuff that we can build, how many people do we have available to build it. Like mana mechanics, for example. It literally took me 1.5 years to build 5-color mana where it's at, and I'm already, it's been out for I've been playtesting it for 3 years, so I've found ways to make it better already. And so I'm starting to implement how to make it better. But even just the basic ideas of 5-color mana that I put on the DMsGuild took me alone 1 year to build. And they got salaries that they're paying these people, or they're throwing coin at developers, at freelancers, and these all have budgets. My budget is time. My budget is time and attention. Their budget is dollars. And production cycles, we have to put this out because we have a profit margin we need to maintain. So they're constantly making decisions about what are we willing to throw money at. Like in the marketing analysis role that I play in my day job, there's always a back and forth about how much money do we want to put into promoting agency creative services on LinkedIn versus just putting out free stuff as an e-newsletter to attract new customers. It's that is a hard analysis that all businesses that have bottom lines have to have a conversation about where they want to put that money. So when Wizards is looking at what are we going to put into the Witchlight book, what can actually be in the book versus what do we think really needs to be there, and what can we do to make sure those extra elements are actually there. Like the Plane Shift books. I think it was James White that developed them, that was on the DMsGuild first. No one talks about them. But those were the first actual MTG products that Wizards put into, and they're keeping an eye on every month how many people are downloading those Plane Shift products to give them an idea about what direction do they need to lean into. And I am really curious. I know OBS would never tell us, but I'm really curious about how much Plane Shift got downloaded when they released Strixhaven, or when they released Ravnica, or when they released Theros, because none of those books were Plane Shift documents on the DMsGuild, which is really interesting. It's like Zendikar was one of the Plane Shift books. I don't know if we're ever going to see a Zendikar book, because they already put it out on the DMsGuild as thin as it is. They already did it. So I don't, and their philosophy is don't look back. So it's really questionable whether they'll go there or not before actually building a completely separate Planeswalker IP. So anyway, I'm really rambling because I'm playing with this scabbard, or this guard on this naginata. Suba, that's the word. The word in Japanese is suba. I'm going to use this. This is actually a nagamaki. It's not actually a naginata. It's too short for a naginata. A nagamaki is a sword that has a 3 to 4, like a 2 to 4 foot long hilt, so you can wield it two-handed. Awesome weapons, by the way. I freaking love nagamaki. Nagamaki is probably my favorite martial arts weapon. Period. I've had an opportunity to train with it for a year or so. All the katana skills. It's like a really great blend. Naginata and nagamaki are a really great blend of weapon techniques that are the same for both spear, staff, and sword. It like marries all of the combat and defense techniques of all those weapons into a single tool of war. And I love it. God, nagamakis are so freaking cool. I could do a whole book of mechanics on nagamakis for 5e. But I mean, like, who would buy it? Again, it's over specialization. You can't over specialize. Yeah, no kidding, right? I don't know. They're pretty possessive about their IPs. Do that. And I'm going to here, and then thin this down, and then skew, and then free transform to resize. Yeah, this morning art jam is really working out for me. I can sustain this, and like I was talking about earlier, it feeds me energy to go attack my day job, and I'm so blessed. I get to work from home, even when COVID stops. Our company has realized how our company's production is up as a result of working from home, as a result of the COVID experience here in America. It's our client base is up, our production is up. It has been a wonderful growth cycle for us in the past year and a half. And they're like, well, we don't have to pay for your guys' butts and seats here in the office, so let's angle towards making an easier experience for you guys to keep doing what you apparently want to stick around and do. And so retention is good. It's so I get to work from home. So it's 7:50 here. That means I'm going to have to end my stream here in a few minutes and start my day job at 8 o'clock. But then I can just, it's lunchtime. I started a lunchtime D&D game with some of my coworkers. We do it on Zoom, so we can just log off of our work interface and then jump on Zoom and roll 20, and we spend an hour at lunchtime playing D&D. It's like, okay, well, let's just pause there and we'll come back to it. And it's been working out. We've been doing that the entire pandemic. We're now 14th level. We started at first level. We call it lunchtime adventures. We started at first level. We're 14th now. We're well on our way to 20th. This will be the fourth 1 to 20 campaign that I've ran. That's technically not true. The first one that I ran was a 5e E6 campaign that ran to 20 feats. So it started level 1 to 6 and then went to 20 extra feats, which is like what a quote-unquote level is in D&D. And it was Dark Sun. It was a Dark Sun 5e campaign that we built. And then we transitioned into Eberron. And then we did this is my European team, like Germans, Russians, playing. So we did 2 level 1 to 20 campaigns there, and then and now that team, all teams end eventually. And so I built this lunchtime adventure team. We started at level 1, and now we just hit level 14, and we're going to. It's a unique world, but it's the time travel campaign that the Groundhog's Day time travel. Like they wake up the same morning every day when they die, or when they take a long rest, they reset to the beginning of the day, and that's well on its way to level 20. Like it's like it as long as they just keep showing up, we will hit level 20 in that campaign, and that's been awesome. But well, I don't remember the point I was trying to make. Oh yeah, it's so easy. We can just log out of our work interface and then log in for our lunchtime adventure, spend an hour progressing the campaign, and then the lunch is over, it's time to move out, and then we do. And that's really changed how I approach DMing. Like as players roll the dice, and so I'm focusing all my DM time on answering questions and setting up new challenges for them that they then work on. If you do, like, they roll the dice and they do group initiative. So they decide to, like, if they decide to attack a dragon, for example, they decide what each of them want to do as a group for their action. They roll their dice. Like, they could be attacking 5 people, and it's like, well, it's redundant for 2 people to attack the same ghoul. And so, well, you don't know that, because when you decide what your action is going to be, you both do attack dice, and then you both do your damage dice, and then you both and then you both together deal this much damage to your enemy. And I won't tell you, obviously I don't tell you how many hit points they have, so they don't honestly know if just one of them would have been enough. But after a while, they start to get a feel, okay, we can kill this kind of creature with this many hits. Now they start to diversify. Like when they run across a first threat, they'll focus fire on it to get a grip on how much damage do they need to do to that thing to bring it down. And as they gain levels, they fight more and more of them. They become a less significant threat, and then they can start parsing out. It's like I can throw 4 ghouls at them instead of just 1. It's like, oh great. Well, we know that the fighter can take one down by himself, and we know that our druid can take one out using this amount of mana, and that leaves the rogue open to play between the 2 of them to be able to snipe stuff where needed to shore up the damage. So they can start allocating the resources that way. And it's not the way that D&D is meant to be played by the core rules, but these are all rules that you'll see like Dungeon Craft and other YouTube channels talk about. And I've just really leaned into those. And it's all theater of the mind, so we don't waste time with miniatures on the board, because we only have an hour at lunch per day to get through stuff, so we can't afford to have a 3-hour grind. We need to finish this hour like in a half hour to 45 minutes. And if it's an epic fight, like we've had like 2 epic fights over the 14 levels that have lasted more than an hour. So it can absolutely be done. And what this is, I'm realizing what this is letting me do is build the play testing base to be able to build a separate 5e themed game that I can then take independently on the DTRPG or sell independently. But anyway, that's my rant. That's my hour and a half. I think I'm done with my day. I can't go any further with it. Monday whole week. Sorry guys, I got a kick. It's a 7:55. I got 5 minutes for me to log out and then put on a tie and then zoom in on my other deal. But it's Thursday, so tomorrow's Friday. I think I'll be back in for another hour tomorrow. And but it's been an absolute delight. So I'm going to pan out here to take a look at where we're at today, and then let's. So here's the full page. I'll collapse that. The previous page is. Hold on. What am I doing here? There. So this is page 5, which is talking about capstone ability. These are the different abilities that the Way of the Four Elements I've added. They get the half casting progression like a paladin, and then paladins of course get subclass abilities at their different marks, and then the monk is at 3, 6, 11, and 17. So you got Elemental Smite at 3rd. And then 6, you get a resistance to an element of your sort. And you can spend key to change that resistance, or otherwise you get to change it for free as a short rest. And then you got Irresistible Elements, which is at 11th level. You can choose an element, and creatures can't resist it. And then your 17th level capstone ability is Elemental Avatar, which is just a different. There's the 4 investiture elemental spells that are 6th level spells. Even though these guys only go to 5th level, their capstone ability is they gain the investiture of elements, all 4 of them, and you pick which one you want, and you can spend an action to switch out which element your investiture is. So that's Avatar, Flame, Ice, and then on the next page is Stone and Wind. So you got investiture of Flame, investiture of Ice, investiture of Stone, and investiture of Wind. And when this is all done, then you got the 2 pages that span across the 2 of them. And of course it uses Tap Untap Burn mechanics, and then I've implemented martial mechanics. Like the martial mana book that I'm doing has like locking key, as well as a different payment system where you're spending 1 mana of the element or color that you want to focus on, and then the rest of the mana, like if it's 5 mana, you spend 1 on fire, and then the other 4 could be fire or something else. But as long as you have that 1 point of fire invested, then you can cast a fire spell. So you have to allocate how much fire do I want and how much cold or air or whatever paradigm you want to use, whether it's elemental or color. You still have to focus. Like if I only want to be fire, then all my mana is going to be fire or red. But if I want to split, like if I want to be Gruul doing all of the elements with like red and blue mana, then I'm going to have to allocate how much of each do I want, because every time I use an ability, it's going to burn at least 1 point or more. And then there's different little things you can do with it, and you'll see it all in the book. And of course, it's all free preview to look at. But this is a really great piece, and it's the first piece to the Martial Mechanics book, which is going to be about 90 pages for like fighters, rogues, barbarians, monks, as well as stuff for artificer and warlocks. So it's got like 130 different, like it's got 70 instant abilities, and then it's gonna have probably like around maybe 30 sustained auras that you can maintain using different mana supplies. Anyway, I'm geeking out about it, but I gotta end my day. So that's the stuff that's in the pipeline, and that's what we're building towards. So my outro, thanks for showing up. Subscribe, tell your mom, and show up next time. I'll see you tomorrow morning. Bye.